Okay, let's start making a 3D cat or dog or horse or whatever quadruped you want with a box modeling technique. And I'll share my screen. And as I said, I'm not going to go into Blender quite yet. I first, although I have it open here, and there's the box waiting for me. But I first want to sketch a little bit around in Photoshop what I'm going to do. So, right, need a print document maybe, doesn't matter really what it is, but horizontal orientation, and I've got my Wacom tablet here waiting for me. Or you could just as well do this in on your sketchbook or a piece of paper. No digital means are required, but for well, you can see better what I'm doing when I'm doing it in Photoshop. So there's the brush tool. Let's search for a nice brush. Okay, Happy HB Ultimate Charcoal Pencil. I usually like the charcoal pencil. And something that is almost black this time. So what kind of dog? Any suggestions there? I want to find a specific race of dog. Like what is Mäyräkoira?
Wiener dog.
Breed.
What breed? Yeah. What breed is Mäyräkoira? A dachshund.
It's a wiener dog.
I don't think that's the like official name.
What?
What?
The dachshund.
Dachshund. Yeah. The dachshund. Or maybe a basset.
This is another breed. It's a bigger one.
I know, but it has a bit longer legs, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, basset. Yeah, why not a basset? He has a long wiener.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, why not? Let's look at more images. Oh, this dog is cute, but I don't want so much hair right now because we're not doing the we're not having the hair day today. Yeah, you're going to have a hair day. I wanted to call the lesson Bad Hair Day, but then I didn't. Because usually when you do the hair for the first time in 3D, it's bad hair. So it's just called Bad Hair Day. There's not much text on the basset here. Weird. Anyway, it has these floppy ears. Let's see if I can make floppy ears. Okay, so I'm now going into Photoshop and keeping this in mind, start to make a sketch. Or maybe even I could put this here. And then open Photoshop and have them side by side. How clever of me. So I'm not going to use this image, by the way, as a template. Well, there would be the possibility to import this image into a Blender and then use it. But what I'm doing here is just for myself now to figure out how I could divide the dog into a 3D shape, into like simplified 3D shape. and to test out the particular form. Color of this dog is very tight. I feel sorry for him or her. And of course, you don't need to draw in Photoshop. You can use any program you're happy with. Or a piece of paper, as I said. So I'm not going to do anything anything very say detailed. So it's going to be a stylized dog anyway. Okay, there's the big form. Let's say C. Yeah, I intelligently drew right on the background layer, which is never a good idea. So another one. So now I'm going to just go for the big shape from the side and from the like front and back, what it's going to be. So the chest of the dog goes quite deep down, and the legs are quite small and stubby, but not fat. So let's say I could have a couple of sections here. So I'm trying to think of this as a collection of boxes, how I could divide it into boxes. The tail could have like two boxes, and the basic body could have three, or maybe four. Yeah, I think four is better. Then you make a box from the head, and again here. And so on. And the legs would be like a couple of smaller boxes. Let's see what this would be like from the front. Let's see the actually the line of the snout is a little bit lower than the shoulder. No, a little bit higher than the shoulder line. So here in my picture, it's a bit too low. But anyway, I should be aware of these two lines where they go, or these two points. And also that the like pelvis of the dog is higher than its shoulder line. And I'm not probably going to make a mouth at all. So, and by the way, how the snout is going, I need to make a bit of more note to that when I'm modeling them. Okay, have a short break in the recording in order to go look here in the classroom what people have been sketching, because I'm curious. And then we'll get on and go into Blender. And let's go back into Blender. Now we have the dog, or cat, or cow. I think somebody had a cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. I'll remind myself what my dog looks like and how it's like divided into parts, and then I go to Blender. And there's my box saying hi to me. Okay, so first things first, you remember how to zoom in, for instance, on Blender. If you have a mouse with 3 buttons, then the mid mouse button is for zooming in and out. If you have a laptop with like what's this touchpad called in the middle in English, anyway, you can zoom in and out with a finger gesture there. And then if you press down that 3-button mouse, you can do this kind of motion by pressing and moving the mouse. And then by clicking Shift and then moving your mid mouse button, you can do a panning movement. And there are like different ways of doing this on a PC laptop and on a Mac laptop. But here in Mediapolis, in this 4th floor classroom, all the Macs have these 3-button mouse buttons, so it all should be well in that sense. And we have like a couple of different modes here for looking at our object. There's the viewport shading, which you can also reach by clicking Z on your keyboard. So we have so I clicked Z, and this will go away when I click Z again, or when I click one of these modes. So here's the basic solid mode. Then there's the wireframe mode, which I won't need now. We have a material preview mode and the ominous beach ball here again, and last of all the rendered mode, which is not so different right now from the solid mode. In the solid mode, you can see the like color of the object, and anyway, there's not much to see yet. The material, when I go look here in the material tab or window, the material is like white. But if I change it now, if I change the shading to rendered and change the base color to maybe something reddish, then yeah, I should see the color as well. Or maybe make a blue dog for now. And what else do we have here in the picture? We have the camera. I can turn on the camera view in several different ways, one of which is going here to view and then cameras, set, and then go to the active camera, or I can press the numpad 0. So I get away from the camera mode by just moving it, and the camera is a movable object, and we'll go through later on how to move it in the camera view. So numpad 0, if you have a numpad, then that will bring you quickly to the camera, which will be really useful every time you render something. What else do we have here? We have the light, one small light of 1000 watts. Now that I have pressed light on, then here it shows me that the light information. I could change that to something else like sun, which is far too bright now, or an area light or a spotlight. But we'll be talking about lights in another lesson. So for now, I'll just duplicate my light before that, I'll choose a different tool from here and to choose the transform tool so that I can freely move my objects around by just clicking on them. So now I want to duplicate this light, and I will do it by clicking Shift and D. That's the quickest way to duplicating objects. And then I can directly move the light to another position. Maybe put both of these lights a little bit lower. And I could change the colors of the lights or power of the light. Maybe to something orangish. And the other could be bluish. And I need to go around the scene to see where the lights are actually situated or positioned. If they are where I want them to be or not. Okay, so now I have a little bit more light in the scene. Although again, the amount of lights doesn't really matter when you're in the solid mode or in the edit mode. And now I went back to the solid mode. Okay, any questions so far? We also have this window here where it shows this collection of the scene. I can make several collections and use them a bit like I would use layers in Photoshop maybe. Here's my cube, and I will double click the name here to rename it. So I'm going to make a dog, so I'm calling this object or mesh dog. Or maybe dog, maybe Basset. Yeah, maybe a dog is better. I'm not sure yet if it will resemble a Basset enough. Okay, dog. And now that I have these transform options on, I can use them to like rotate or scale the object. I could do it without them, but yeah, I like to do it like this. Also, it's for the purposes of lessons, it's easier to show things when they are visible. Although there are ways of working in Blender where you just use your keyboard for almost everything. Anyway, now there are like 3 dimensions and a 4th one with time, but I can scale my objects in these dimensions. So because I'm going to do the dog, I'm going to make like one, maybe I'm going to already make the body of the dog by, I mean, it's a long body, so here we go. And it's also quite flat, so I'm going to make it like that from here, and it shouldn't be this wide, so let's make it smaller. So just like if you sculpt from clay, we'll start with the big shapes here with box modeling. And well, the body is the biggest shape. And right now I'm in the object mode. And I can't get into the details of this box yet. So let's go into the Ren edit mode. So over here, I can find different modes that are available right now. There's the edit mode, also sculpt mode, vertex paint, and texture paint. We'll try out the vertex paint later on in the afternoon. And we'll try out the weight paint on another lesson. Okay, so I need to go into the edit mode, and I can go quickly between the edit mode and object mode by pressing and I have again forgotten the name of the button. Is it the tab? I think it's the tab. So so you can try it out. Like it's the button over the like shift buttons. So with a tab, you can quickly go from object mode to edit mode. And now in the edit mode, I can see the vertices that make up this object or mesh, in other words. So this is a vertex point. The plural is vertices, but vertex in singular. So two vertices, I can grab them with shift, for instance, or other ways. There are many other ways for grabbing these. If I have grabbed two vertices, it will make an edge. And there is a specific mode for selecting just edges. So there's 3 selection modes. If you're used to Maya, for instance, which is like a more, well, it's a program that costs a lot and which is a kind of industry standard, although Blender is now taking its place, I think, pretty quickly. But in Maya, there are no 3 modes. You can have all the modes all at once. And that's basically also true in Blender. You can use your shift button and then have all of these modes at the same time here. That's something that that took me a while to understand, but now I know it and I can share it with you. Anyway, usually people go in one selection mode at a time, but now I can, now I have, for instance, selected one face. So that's now I'm in the face selection mode. These are called faces. So, and since we have only shapes like faces that are like that have 4 edges, they are called quads. Then we have also something called tris or triangles, which surprisingly enough have only 3 edges. You get those often when you use sculpting programs. And then there's like a whole problem of its own, how to change quad, like tri shapes into quad meshes, because the tri meshes are not so easy to rig for animation. The quad meshes are the best for rigging. And that's one of the reasons why I'm showing, why we are keeping this almost strictly to the quads right now, these objects. We try to keep the geometry nice and clean, or the topology. Okay, so let's see. There are, when you have more than 4 edges, then it's called an n-gon. So it's a polygon with an n number of edges, an n-gon. And I think Tuomo will explain you more about that in his lessons. At least he said so. Okay. So any problems or questions at this point?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
My material just say world instead of dog.
What?
Like like on the panel for the material, it's showing me world instead of dog. For some reason.
Here.
Yeah, it's just said world.
Okay. We're going to go into the word later on, but I
Yeah.
can show you where to get out of that.
Yes.
You go into shading. Here, if you can find shading. It's one of the tabs. Then you change, you probably have word here. So you change that into object. By the way, if I have the world here in the shading, I can change the color of the world. I'm now in the shading mode, and I put rendered view here. I can see here the nodes for the background. So I could change the background into pastel blue, for instance, if I like it more. And maybe I do. So check that your shader type is set on object. Then
It's object, but it still show world here. I mean, on the modeling node.
okay, do you have your object selected?
Yes.
Okay, then I need to come to you and see what's the matter.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter at this point anyway.
Yeah, but it's just annoying.
Yeah, I know. So change it. Okay, it does say down here.
Yes.
So what's the problem?
If you go back to that, just said world at the layout.
So what is this?
Mm.
So when you change it. No, there was nothing wrong.
World.
It should say word. Yeah. So you're not in the material tab right now. Oh, that's good.
I hope so.
Okay. So wrong alarm.
Okay.
Okay, let's get making the dog. So finally, what I need now is to get the points of, get the new boxes here, new geometry. So I have now selected this face. So I'm going to move it a little bit still inwards, because I think the legs, I'm like imagining how my dog's legs would look like here. So I will do a simple extrusion. You can do extrusion with these edit mode tools. Here's the extrude region tool, but I usually do it just with clicking E and then clicking enter. So let's do it. So I click E and enter, and now I can drag my new extrusion here. I'll show another way of doing this. So I go back a couple of steps. I could also do E and then just start moving the extrusion out of here. There we go. And the dog's legs are quite short, so let's keep it like this. I might need to move these around later. Okay, I'll make a loop cut for the hind legs so that you can see how to do that. Okay, did you get this extrusion? No. Yeah. What I could do here, I could click S for scale and make this smaller, for instance. But right now, I'm not interested in doing that. But I just wanted to show that, yes, this is possible. Let's make the tail later. And okay, then the loop cut. I think I showed it in the earlier class of like when we did the mushrooms in the introduction to visual design, but let's do it again. So again, there is a tool for the loop cut here, but I'm just going to use the keyboard shortcut of Command and R. Command and R, or Control and R if you're working on a PC. Then I click once with the mouse, and then I can move this loop cut around approximately where I want the legs to be, like the hind legs. So here I will drag out the hind legs, and here I will drag out the forelegs. So I'm starting with them and also the head later on. So I will need more geometry in order to get stuff like the forelegs and the hind legs out of here. And I'm keeping all of this nice and box shaped so far. And we'll be doing lots of loop cuts and extrusions. So the places for the hind legs and the tail. So again, a loop cut is needed. Command and R, and now I need the loop cut over here, and I need several of them. So I click once, and then I should have this. Oh, no, I need to do it again. Sorry. Click once and twice to keep it in place so that it's in the middle, and then I need this window, loop cut and slide. So I make I make two loop cuts here because now I will have places for the fore and hind legs.
Sorry, could you show where you did the loop cut and slide again? Where you
Yes.
got that panel?
Yeah, this is a bit tricky in Blender. But first of all, so just that you know what I'm going to do, I'm next going to shift click these faces and then extrude legs out of there. But let's go back a few steps before the time of the loop cuts. Okay, so I click Command and R, search for the place in the middle, click twice with my mouse so that the loop cut will stay in place in the middle. And I still have the options for how many loop cuts I want. So I open that and click here that I want 2 loop cuts. I will at some point want like middle cut as well, but for now we'll do it this way. I'll show a different way of box modeling next week, which is a bit more complicated, but we'll start with this simple way. So the other way is that we cut the object in half and then mirror it and so on. But this is like a little bit simpler and works for quadruped animals, but not for humanoid creatures.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and we'll be doing this again in a couple of minutes. So next I change the select mode to faces here, and I'll shift select these 4 faces that will become the feet of the dog. And I change my view so that I can see what I'm doing. And then I click on E to extrude all of them at once. And they are supposed to be short legs. And for now, I'm going to click away because I want to move. Oh, and by the way, I forgot the symmetry. Now it's really important to have symmetry. So here is a tiny button where there's a picture of a kind of butterfly, I guess, which are symmetrical creatures. And I click enable mesh symmetry in the x-axis. So let's see if this works. So basically when I have clicked on this leg, then yeah, this should happen. So this is how symmetry happens. Weirdly enough, the symmetry doesn't apply to extrusions. Not unless I have put some. Okay, now in the classroom there are some people having trouble. So I might do a short round. So I'll put a I'll stop sharing for a while and put this on pause, this recording, the recording, because I didn't show one crucial thing that you will need with loop cuts. Sometimes you will notice that you need to select one edge loop at a time. So these, now that they have been cut, they are called edge loops. And moving edge loops around is actually quite important to know. So I will make one loop cut more into the middle of the body, and because I will need it anyway. So Command and R for this loop cut. And now, now it's selected, but let's deselect it. So if I want to select this whole edge loop that goes around the dog, or what's going to be the dog. So I need to click it so that my Alt button is down. So Alt click one edge, and then you can have the whole edge loop at once. So Alt click, and then the edge loop is selected. And now I can move it around, and I can click S for scaling. For instance, if I want to make the dog's body already look more like the dog's body. For instance. So as you can see, it's I mean, I meant to do this later on, but I can do it now.
I have a question about the belly part of when you're cutting. I mean, what I found is when I was cutting the faces off, I ended up removing the bottom side of the belly, and then I could see inside,
Don't cut the faces off.
not the faces.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so in order to keep all of this geometry in place, you should never cut the faces away. Then that will break the geometry. And that's probably why you're seeing inside of the belly, because, well, there's a hole in it. So go back a couple of steps when to a situation where the geometry is still intact. That would be my suggestion. And in that vein, what I often do, because everybody does mistakes while modeling, what I do is I make duplicates of my meshes when things are still fine. So I'm now doing a duplicate of this. So I can go back to this if my mesh happens to be broken. So this is, or some people make several saves of their work with different names so that they can go back to a previous version. So talking about that, I will save this now with the name Doggy 1A. So I can make a Doggy 1B at a later moment. And I make this dog invisible for now. Okay, so let's continue with the cutting the dog apart.
How did you duplicate it?
With Shift and D. But I need to be in the object mode to do that.
Mhm.
Otherwise, I will duplicate it in the edit mode, and then it will be part of my original mesh.
Yeah.
That duplicate. It's a bit weird. So whenever you duplicate objects, see to it that you are in object mode to do it. Okay, so next I will extrude the tail of the dog and also its neck and the head. And at some point I will need the legs over here, or feet actually, yes. And I need to change the shape of this hind leg before that. But first, a loop cut here in the middle so that I can get my tail and my neck, the dog's neck. So Command and R to the middle, and now one cut is enough. And let's see where I should put it. Okay, I think for the tail, I need to raise this edge a little bit, and maybe it's best to raise all of it. Remember to have the symmetry on. Now it's really important to keep the symmetry. If you don't, then you're simply screwed. Okay, now I'm in the face select mode, and I'm going to drag out the tail with extrusion, E. And I'll click directly on S to scale it. And in my drawings, the dog's tail went down. So I'll push it down here as well. Extrude again. And scale it again. Yeah, looking a little bit like a tail already. And we're going to let the computer do some softening of the mesh later on. We're going to use a modifier for that. But okay, let's get into the neck. And is this too small for the neck or not? So maybe I want the neck. Well, actually, a dog's neck is not that fat. unless it's an old dog with a lot of like neck fat. Neck fat, is that a word even? Anyway, so maybe I'll keep the shape almost as it is. Maybe, or should I pull it a little bit out before I make the neck? Perhaps. Yeah, I think it's good like that. So now I'm extruding the neck from the dog. And then I need to extrude what's going to be the head. Oh, and I did an error already, I see. I need to go back one step because a dog's head goes upwards, or doesn't it? Let's check my image. Yes, the dog's head goes upwards. Go back to Blender. Yeah. And I'm using, so all of my extrusions are made from like either vertical or horizontal faces. So I'm not much changing the angle yet. So I'm keeping to the big box shapes for now. And I'm going to like make them more into the actual shapes later on, once I've got the big shapes. And extruding the head. So this is where the ears will be. And should I make it wider? Probably. That might have been a mistake. Or maybe not. Let's keep it like this so far. Okay, so extrusion. And one more extrusion. And now this will be the snout. So the dog's head, I see the neck is a bit too wide now. So I will need to move the whole thing a little bit to the right. So I'm going to do that in the wireframe mode. This way I can select all the vertices at once. I'm doing this like a box selection mode, and I'll move the head closer to the body, like this. Okay, so before we go to have our lunch, what I want to do is two things: the feet, and then I want to make a modifier so that the shape will be softer. So I'll make the modifier first. There's the image of a wrench where I can find all kinds of modifiers where the software is creating geometry that doesn't actually exist. So here generate, and I think the subdivision surface is good. Or maybe, yeah, I think the multi-resolution will be better. So I click here on subdivide a couple of times. So as you can see, it will look softer. Also from here, object mode, I put shade smooth. And now I can see that the head of the dog is much too small, and I need to do something for that later on. And the legs are much too stubby, so there's also work to do, but the general big shape of the dog is there without the ears. Okay. So maybe what I still will show is how to make the feet. So like I said, I wanted to make this smaller. So I'll do it now. And also here. Yep. And now let's take the feet out again with one extrusion. And then for the front parts of the paws, I will need a little bit of more shaping first. So like this. Yeah, it will make the dog also cuter looking. And I need to drag these two paws out with extrusion, and these two paws as well with extrusion. And maybe a little bit bigger here. And now I have a great desire to start like shaping this dog more with more loop cuts, but I'm trying to not to keep this as simple as possible. Okay, now I'm checking how the dog looks like. Yeah, the shape is coming along. There are still things to do so that it doesn't look like so much like a box, like here, this part. And the head needs to be bigger, and I need to create the ears and so on. Okay, but I think you know I have shown now the basic principle. I'll stop the sharing. And does anybody have like big trouble? Let's stop recording.